Hey everyone, welcome back to Just Being Booky. A little bit different scenery today because my bookshelves aren't behind me, they're over there. I'm currently on my bed recording because this past week I decided to start going through everything in my room and getting rid of like a ton of stuff. And so stuff's a little out of sorts. I mean, it's not out of sorts, but like it's not where it usually goes and it's a little in the way. So I don't really have a chance to move everything to get back to my regular spot. But I will be probably back to that spot either next week or the week after, depending on when I post this. I'm not exactly sure. But right now I'm sitting on my bed, and so that this stuff doesn't distract you the whole entire video, I'll give you a second to absorb. Good now? Cool. Alright, so in this video, it's going to be a little embarrassing because I am going to be sharing some of my childhood stories and little writing things that I have written over the years. Most of them are incomplete, which is probably a good thing, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, some of them is writing and some of them is comics, which comics is writing too in its own way. But I hope that I'm not shaking the camera way too much because it's literally on my lap right now. Hopefully I'll manage. But anyway, let's just get into the adventure, I guess. Alright, so yeah, this is the folder that I have most of them in. It's called My Stories and then Comics. Most of the stories that I'm working on now are on my computer, which is what I'm recording on right now. And I will actually touch onto what I'm currently working on a little bit for writing. Alright, so first, I used to make these in like these little things where I would fold the paper and stuff like that and cut it out, but I would staple it together before I had written anything in it, as if I would definitely have that exact amount. Most of the time I didn't even reach that amount because I just stopped. I don't know. But even if I had continued, it probably would have been too little or still too much. The first one is called The Stealing of the Diamond. That is such a profound title, I know. I don't even know why I was writing about some of this stuff. It doesn't even make sense. Like, where did I get that idea? But, like, there's this many pages, and I literally only wrote this much. Like, that's the whole story right there. Well, I mean, it's not the whole story. It stops. The general thing, I'm not going to read it all out loud, even though it is short, but the general thing of it was that archaeologists were digging in some lady's yard for some reason, and while they were finding dinosaur bones, they found a diamond. I don't understand my process on this one, to be perfectly honest, but yeah. Then there was this antagonist introduced very quickly. I barely even touched on the fact of the diamond or the event of finding it. It was just like, oh, these guys found a diamond. That's crazy. Oh, here's the person who wants to steal it. But yeah, apparently that's how my brain worked. I mean, sometimes it doesn't make sense now, but I at least know how it might have made sense, or like I kind of understand it more. Sometimes I don't, but you know. Okay, so this one requires a bit more explanation. If you have ever read any of the Clarice Bean books, I'll put a couple pictures up while I'm editing this. The main character reads these books in the book called Ruby Redford, and I kind of wanted to create my own story of Ruby Redford because they don't really touch on much of the stories in that book, because Ruby Redford was a series that was made up and mentioned in that book, but it wasn't mentioned too much, so I kind of created my own. I don't know if this would be considered fan fiction or ripping it off, but hey, I was like 8 when I did this, or maybe even 10, but I wasn't trying to steal anything. But this one I did write, can't speak, but this one I did write a bit more. So there's that whole page, these 2 pages, and a little bit on this one. This one is actually a comic. I don't know why it's in the stories. but it's called The Adventures of Super Dad and Super Mom. They're very realistic, you know? Oh yeah, they're so heroic. The first thing that I have them do is save a cat from a tree because the grandma lady was asking. Some of my stuff is so stereotypical. I don't understand because I've been so against stereotypes for like all my life. But why am I doing that? That's literally the opposite of what I've always been doing. Oh, okay. So apparently they save the cat from the tree, and then the same lady calls for help, and apparently her house is randomly on fire. That makes sense. Oh, and Super Mom makes the house crumble. This is obviously not based on my mom and my dad. That would be so rude. And they rode a whale. I don't understand. Okay, and then they lose their powers, and then they go travel to find them to get them back, and they go to a creepy looking dude that gives them their powers back through a magical potion. I don't. Please don't ask me to explain anything about this. Feel free to like go crazy about how ridiculous and funny it sounds in the comments, but also keep in mind I was a lot younger and I don't understand what I was thinking. This one I also really don't understand because it's the creepy mystery. I have never been into anything creepy. Why did I don't I don't know. I only did this much, so I didn't really yeah. Because Sam heard a swish swish and screamed. Their parents wondered what was wrong. It was a dream, but then suddenly the dad hears another swish. Same swish that his son had heard. Yeah, I'm just ragging on my younger self because I don't understand what my younger self. Oh, also, um, this was supposed to be lightning. I don't know how long did it take me to know how to draw lightning. This one isn't exactly a book. I was trying to make my own newspaper kind of, but I put it in the shape of a book, and I made up my own headlines and stories. I mean, I've tried to do that since then, but I would take actual like if you ever listen to K-Love radio station, and then they have good news where they share the good news and stuff. And I would go onto their website and go into that section, and I would read it and then just like copy it down and add a slight illustration or whatever. I don't think that really would have benefited me, but yeah, apparently I'm on channel 1. And apparently you can look me up on newsreport/channel1.com. Don't actually try that because that might bring you up to something completely weird. I have no clue. I'm not gonna try it, but that's just what I made up. Apparently there has been a never seen before person, and some people think she's just new from the neighborhood, but the police officers think she might be one of their suspects. Have you seen any of the girls that look like this? Please don't tell me you look exactly like that, because that would be a little creepy. Contact us immediately. I repeat, immediately. Apparently she has red hair, blue eyes, rosy cheeks, a long nose, and glasses. And then apparently there's a stolen car. There is a baseball game. I had no idea what I was talking about for this because I'm not really into sports that much. I mean, I'm not against them or anything. I just don't look into them or talk about them or watch them, so I'm pretty much clueless. But apparently, Tom Dwayne is a player in the Pitbulls, apparently. I don't think that's an actual thing. I'm pretty sure I made that up too. Apparently, I made a popularity page right here. Apparently, next week on Thursday, 2 a.m. I think I meant to put 2 p.m., but I put 2 a.m. because apparently at 2 a.m. annual county fair is coming. And as our special guest, the singer will be... I can't even read that. And then there's just a weird little comic that I didn't try very hard on because it was just for this. And then the rest of it's blank. So those are all the ones that I have that are packed like this. But I have some more that are just like papers. Technically, all of these are the exact same thing, but they're just like rewrites of it. And it was based on a kid named Riley Dwight, and he was trying to find an island that no one believes in, and it disappears every like 13 years. I don't know, or no, not every 13 years, but it like. Okay, so apparently my microphone died because my camera cut off, but at least this time it actually cut off instead of just continuing without having sound. But, yeah, he was looking for the island because the girl that he met for a friend said that her parents were lost on that island and no one believed it. I don't know. Where's the rest of this? I know there's more. I'm gonna come back to that if I find the rest, but I know that it's ridiculous. Did I ever write anything for this? Yes, I did. So, Detective Robin, Private Eye with Professor Canary. I even made a whole cover for it. Which, it wasn't a bad concept, but not well executed. And apparently they live in a town called Featherville, and he's the greatest detective of North. I think it was kind of somewhat inspired by Sherlock Holmes and what's his name? What's his name? The partner, Sherlock's partner, Watson. There we go. I hadn't really actually read much of that. I haven't read much of it now either, but I knew about it in general. Well, this one is about a girl named Brianna and her mom, which I didn't know Brianna, but because my name's Kieana, I was trying to be clever. Okay, yes, that's the one. Why was I? Could someone please explain to me why I was writing a story about someone who got sucked into a vacuum and there's a world inside of the vacuum? I doubt it because you're not me, and if I don't understand what I wrote, then obviously you aren't. Here's the first part of this, because I switched from pencil to pen. It's called The Pirates with Kieana and Squall, which was supposed to be my parrot. Yeah, and they were called the Swaldaldockers. At least that's what it looks like. No, and apparently I was captain, spelled Captin. They were on an island, and they randomly made popcorn and went to the other pirates, and apparently there's a hurricane, and there's suddenly a door, and they open the door, and there's tons of popcorn, and they grab onto the lookout pole, and then the storm is there, and then they randomly found a bag of chips, and then they ate chips, and then no one knew that under their piratey clothes they were regular people playing pirates. I'm sure that was an amazing idea in my head, but it doesn't actually make sense to me now. And this probably just sounds like absolute gibberish coming from me right now. Blah. Oh, I remember this. It's not actually a story, but this was for when I wanted to write on blank paper, not lined paper, and I, for the longest time, had the trouble writing in a straight line, so I put this, which is darkened with pencil, underneath my regular paper and used that as a guideline, literally, guidelines. I don't know where the first page is, but, so, yeah. Superheroes, again, which I've never been super into superheroes, so I don't understand why I was trying to make so much. So, originally, without the first page, they were arguing that superheroes do or do not have days off. And they're proven that superheroes do not. And then there's an earthquake, and he cracks through the earth to settle the plates, the tectonic plates. I was very scientific in my comics, but also not at the exact same time. And then apparently there's fire at a burger shop, and then the chef is the one who started the fire because the employees were talking that they needed a new chef. And the next one, he eats chips for energy, and then there's a cat in a tree again, and they use a teleporter machine to get him down. And then the lady says that his favorite toy is also lost, and they use X-ray vision to find it in the shed. Put this back in that folder and go to the folder that they're supposed to be just comics in. Cartoons by Kieana, The Zombie Party, because apparently at one point I was very into zombies, which I don't even know how I knew that zombies existed. I've never watched a zombie movie. I've never read a zombie book. I don't understand where that came into play, but apparently it did. So, and I can't even read this because it's like so small because I was making them without a ruler. And then there was alien invasion with Baby Boo the alien, the ship coming towards Earth, and then the professor, or not the professor, the student or security guard, I don't know, saying Professor Ivan Howard, He stepped forward, and he says, all I have to say is that humans are dangerous. And 1 millisecond later, on Earth, a teacher teaching the students about what to do for an alien invasion, and then there's an alien invasion, and he screams, everyone under your desk, and then Baby Boo is introduced. Yeah, I'm less into doing comics now and more into just writing in general. This was a series of stuff that I did. I tried to incorporate magazine for one of them because I didn't feel like drawing a tree. But apparently, he's sore and tired, and then he goes onto a hyper-realistic couch because it's from a magazine. You'd think that this was like an advertisement or something because he's hungry. He looks over and he sees pizza, but not just any pizza, DiGiorno extra cheese. Another one of these, which this one doesn't make any sense at all. You know, that character kind of looks like Greg Heffley. If you've ever read the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books when you were younger or now, depending on how old you are. And this was a concept for a superhero that was afraid of milk. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm currently working on. So technically I have 2 stories currently going on because the one I kind of halfway abandoned, well not halfway abandoned, but I like to at least temporarily abandon it on purpose because I didn't like the way it was going and I didn't like what I had done to some of the parts because I was busy rushing to get to the parts I was most excited to write about. If you write any stories, then you probably know what I'm talking about. And so I decided to start a new one, and I wasn't sure for the longest time what I was going to do, but then I figured out one. Oh, also the one that I'm writing now and the one that I am more writing now-ish is specifically fantasy based, but it has a kind of a unique concept, and it will have a lot of symbolism and intertwined meanings and some scientific stuff because I've been learning about something that falls into this. And if you're friends with me in real life, then you will probably get a sneak peek as I'm working on more of it, so you guys are lucky. But I'm not going to go too much in depth into it because, like I said, this is public and I don't really want it to have it to where an idea is stolen or anything. Anyway, I think that's all I have for you guys today, so I will see you guys next week and hopefully I'll be back in my normal spot. If not, then oh well. But anyway, bye! Last minute, I forgot to add this before. But let me know if you remember or have any of your childhood writings that you remember or have of, and whether you think that the concepts were good or not, or in the execution was just not right, or what you thought about the craziness of what I showed you. But just feel free to leave a comment because I love interacting with you guys. So, anyway, bye.